Oh my, the Green Machine moving smoothly tonight. The Cavaliers from Rosemont, Illinois, coming in here in 5th place. They finished 3rd last year, their highest finish ever in DCI competition. Michael, one of the oldest corps around in the activity, founded back in 1948, an outgrowth of a Boy Scout troop, and they were right there solid as a rock tonight.
They were solid as a rock. Don Warren, who was the founder in 48, is here tonight, and I'm sure he's proud of them. A program that has that kind of richness and depth and variety. And the drill, Brubaker's drill, is impeccably musical, and it has perfect structure. It's an amazing show, and tonight an amazing performance.
Charles is a dean of music. Some complicated things happening musically out there on that field.
Complicated, but performed with great precision, as Michael has already said, and the music, I thought, had richness, it had resonance, and the sound of the brass was terrific. If anything, they marched and played better than they did last night in the semifinals.
Much in the way of difficult rhythms and things happening out there. Did you see the Cavies go off that drum line with a walk beat that I've heard for decades? Some pretty things in that show also backfield. They used the back part of the stadium as a sonorous bowl almost.
Really a resonator, and used the echo for its fullest effect. And that way when they turn around and get you, it's a different kind of sonority altogether.
Something you may not have known about this drum corps to show you how venerable an institution the Cavies are. They've played for 4 presidents in their history: Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, and Johnson. Now that's a corps with a historical presence. These kids all came here by way of a summer-long competition tour. Really, the season broken down into 2 tours. They'll travel anywhere from 10 to 15,000 miles to get here. And it is a journey full of...
grueling.
It's grueling, but
it's
full of love, it's full of drive, it's full of desire.
These guys are a fraternity. It's an all-male corps, one of the only 2 left, and they are a real fraternity.
Up next, we see the all-white Phantom Regiment. What a story behind this corps. They get the Comeback of the Year award, and here's a reason why.
To know where the Phantom Regiment is going in 1987, it helps to know where they've been. A rising Midwestern powerhouse 10 years ago, the Corps' tradition of classical music performances brought them close to the World Championship 2 times in 3 years, one defeat coming by just 1/10 of a point. Rebounding from those losses has not been easy. Ambitious productions that followed won praise from critics, but indifference from even their most devoted fans. Last year, they dropped to their lowest placement in DCI since 1974. The next winter was a time for rebuilding. So it seems fitting that the development of this year's Songs for the Winter Palace production came through the long, cold months that, for many of tonight's corps, are the cornerstones for summer season success. Corps Director Ron Schultz.
If you have a weak winter program and the show isn't ready on time and the kids don't get to those winter rehearsals and you fall behind, you may never catch up. We've always thought the winter program is extremely important. Tchaikovsky works well with the regiment, and that type of music is a type of music the regiment conveys very well. It allows the color guard to make a more of a dancing contribution than we've explored in the past. We don't like to dance too much, but there's places in the show, in a ballet show, where it calls for the color guard to do something.
Some of the regiment's music was performed 100 years ago in Russia. The audience then heard it in Tsar Alexander III's Winter Palace. It's hoped that tonight's Drum Corps audience hears it as a cool breeze in an otherwise hot, muggy summer night. Ron Schultz hopes that he hears a return to the Corps' highly set standards of excellence.
You're in 5th place, and you're in 5th place by 2/10. You know, everybody's good at that point. We just want to be with that group, whether we win. Well, I'd like to. Let's put it that way.
And we've got a packed stadium out here now waiting for Phantom Regiment to go. Mike Cesario, you were involved in conceptualizing this program, putting them out there in those all-white uniforms. Explain what's happening here.
Here's a case where we're using the white to literally create an atmosphere. Here's a chance for Swan Lake and the Nutcracker, 2 of Tchaikovsky's big white ballets, to get their fullest emotional impact on a stage the size of a football field.
We should also explain that, Phantom is doing what they do best and have done historically. They take a style and they take it to the maximum.
This is more than max. This is the best corps they've turned out in several years. Here's a chance for the 1987 U.S. Open champions to really make a name for themselves.
They came in here third with a 95.6. We should explain that the Blue Devils will be going on last because they are defending champions. They had that option. They elected to take that option, even though Phantom bettered their score. But Phantom now looking to make that permanent in tonight's final performance. Here we go. Phantom Regiment from Rockford, Illinois. Well, for you fans of big finishes, how's that? Phantom Regiment, Rockford, Illinois. How intense are these drum corps? Well, those 6 big drums you saw them doing the thundering rolls on at the end, they carried around all season just for that 7 or 8 seconds of music.
That one roll. They're beautiful black pearls, and what's interesting about them is that the same type of drum is being used by Santa Clara and by the second place score tonight, the Santa Clara Vanguard, and of course by the first place score, the Blue Devils.
Charles, the music of Tchaikovsky, you made the comment up here during the course of that performance that it was wonderfully true to the original.
I thought it was, as well as they possibly could, knowing that they had to do some marching on the field. The harmonies, the rhythms, the way in which it was scored was particularly effective, I thought. And I've conducted that Nutcracker Ballet many times myself, and I know that score well. I think they did a terrific job in conveying the spirit of the ballet, and it was a wonderful presentation.
And taking that music, taking those arrangements, string parts, and putting them in brass voicings for a bugle pitched in the key of G is not easy.
That's
Jim Wren
right.
is a talented arranger.
He certainly is.
Michael, performance, briefly.
Well, they had some problems out there tonight, mostly based on equipment. Dropped skirts, dropped pieces of equipment, and here was a chance to show how controlled they are and how they think. They recovered within 1 second. Those pieces were picked up, gone, and out of sight. Most people probably didn't even notice there was a problem.
It also shows the kind of tension and pressure in this big finals night. Tony Perkins is backstage. You have a performance like this, you have a stage. Tony is backstage where the pressure is at its greatest. Tony?
That's right, Steve. Backstage is exactly where we are, and it's hot and it's steamy and muggy back here. But the psych job really begins out in the parking lot behind the stadium, and then it goes on underneath these stands where you have to go through single file in close, cramped quarters. And then you come out into this vast opening down a ramp, and then you see the 40,000 fans out here to see the 1987 Drum Corps International Championship final round. And for all the music and magic we're going to see on the field tonight, we have to point out that it takes a lot of money to put each of these units into action. It's something all corps directors around the country are trying to deal with, the price of drum corps.
From the heart today. Let's go. Strong one.
Organizing and maintaining a modern drum and bugle corps is a business that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. It costs money to get the corps on the road, to get the instruments for them to play, and to allow the corps to go on tour. Members pay annual dues, booster clubs raise money, but there are many painful examples when it wasn't enough. Corps are trying to keep in business in several different ways. For the railmen of Omaha, Nebraska, corporate sponsorship is the route to financial good health. The Union Pacific Railroad's logo shows as prominently on their uniforms as veterans organizations' shields once did on other corps' outfits and drums years ago. For the railmen, it means more than just having a handy identity.
We could not compete as a competitive corps because the financial obligation is so strong and high anymore that we need corporate sponsorship, and if we're there to sell Union Pacific through our advertising, we will.
Community sponsorship from the local police department helps keep the Canton, Ohio Bluecoats on the road and on the field.
The support of the community is great. The police department, we feel it's a credit to our department, and it's one of our major programs.
Other corps continue to raise money the old-fashioned way, through backing by city and county municipalities and through souvenir sales. In Rockford, Illinois, one of the most aggressive local booster organizations faces the annual challenge of not just raising money for the open class corps, the Phantom Regiment, but for two younger groups, the Phantom Regiment Cadets and the Pre-Cadets. Whether it's parents or corporate presidents and a board of directors, the fundraising theme of Drum Corps must be played all year round.
As we gaze upon Camp Randall Stadium, the Santa Clara Vanguard getting set to stage a incredible time in Russia. Michael, we need to make clarification, too.
The same kind of drums that we saw in Phantom are going to be heard tonight in Santa Clara, and of course then in Garfield when they come on. You'll listen to the different kind of tunings and the different way they handle this whole thing.
I like to describe what they're going to do as really putting on an opera on the field. And for people who have seen opera in theater, they ought to take a close look at this, because they're going to see the same kind of theatrics that have to do with scenery and costumes and instruments and dancing and everything that goes with the drama of an opera they're going to see in just one moment on this football field.
What we're watching here is Santa Clara getting set to perform. This is their warm-up routine. Some corps just turn around backstage and really wail. Santa Clara goes through a little bit of setup acting. 20th anniversary show. They were undefeated coming into last night's semifinals when they were upended by Garfield by 0.5 of a point. They've won 4 DCI titles. That's the second most. But they haven't won since '81, and they finished second last year. They want to take it all tonight, and they came in here as the heavy favorites. It's going to be interesting. The director of Santa Clara Vanguard, the venerable Gail Royer, done a job molding this corps. The drum majors, Tim Andresi and Ken Serra. Michael, in a nutshell, what can we look for here as we take a trip to Russia?
This is a folk ballet. We see beautiful things and we meld into it right now.